At 25 years old, I walked away from a stable career, great pay, and everything I had worked for. People thought I was crazy, but I knew something they didn't. Hey, I'm Ben, and welcome to Le Benjamin. To explain how I got here, we must go back to 2006, when my high school senioritis was in full effect. How do I get out of this freaking place? I knew I was close to hitting the requirements to graduate and didn't want to waste my time. My main goal was getting into the work program class so I could leave by noon. My assigned schedule was a complete joke. I had free periods mixed in and useless study halls at the end of the day. As much as I love numbers, there was no way I was doing another year of math. I already hit the math requirements my year prior. So I skipped the extra year of math, and guess what? Not once in my adult life has anyone stopped me on the street and demanded I find X. Poor X, still lost, still not my problem. I waited hours to see my counselor to review my academic schedule and plans. Since she was overseeing most of the graduating class, she was swamped. While others were waiting with me, we started chatting about their schedules. I found out what classes were available at what time. Keep in mind, this was before all this information was just available on your smartphone. By the time I finally met with her, I had already written out the schedule I wanted. It took me 3 days to finally get this meeting. I told her I hated my schedule. I was wasting my time. I wanted to get into the work program and I wanted early dismissal. After chatting for a moment, she asked me the best question ever. Do you want to graduate early? Holy shit, that's an option? Hell yes, sign me up. Within moments, she handed me the exact schedule I requested. Only two classes had to be swapped based on availability. Freedom was around the corner. Okay, I know I told you I was going to tell you about my retirement from work, and I promise I'm getting there. But here's something I just realized. I technically retired early from high school too. I mean, think about it. I found a way to beat the system, cut my time in half, and get out ahead of schedule. And it wouldn't be the last time I pulled that off. So turns out early retirement is kind of my thing. And if you're enjoying the story so far, be sure to hit the like button. It really helps. Oh, and if you want to see how this plays out, subscribe and stick around. So what was next? Work. I had my sights set. Costco wholesale, no brainer. I love the store and they pay the best wages for simply pushing carts. Sign me up and I'll push as many carts as you want for that pay. After countless times of annoying a family member to get me an interview, I finally got the call. When I met with HR for the first time, I vividly remember her reaction. She was the sweetest lady, but had an unmistakable, I cannot wait to retire demeanor. I handed her my paperwork. I told her this was my first job, so I didn't have professional references. I left that section blank. Was that okay? She rolled back in her chair, took off her glasses, and looked at me like I had just told her I was applying to be CEO. They hired you and you have zero work experience? Yes. Never in my career have I seen such a thing. That was the first time someone doubted me in my career, but wasn't the last. And only a few months later, just past probation, I ended up getting an office position. One of the managers saw something in me and was willing to bet the farm on me. And of course, in the process, I befriended my HR friend and the other office staff quickly. To this day, I am beyond grateful for the countless people I met at Costco. This was just the beginning of my 7-year career with the company. I worked in numerous departments in 4 different stores. I lost track of how many new name tag badges I was given with my new titles. The corporate ladder was exciting. The pay kept getting better and better. But wait, I was telling you why I left, wasn't I? While I was checking all the right boxes, I started wondering, was this really the life I wanted? I tried to ignore that question, but it kept creeping in until my body made sure I couldn't ignore it anymore. Because as great as things seemed on the outside, something wasn't right. If you've ever felt stuck in the grind and wondered if there's another way, you're not alone. I've been there, and that's why I'm sharing this. So if any of this resonates, subscribe and let's figure it out together. My body decided it needed to send me signs. At 25, I noticed I was getting gray hairs, which wasn't the worst thing, to be honest. I really love my gray highlights today. By far, the worst feeling was a never ending stomach pain. It was just constantly there. I thought I was working hard, but really, I was just burning the candle at both ends. And trust me, that's not as smart as it sounds. If I'm being honest, I got myself to a point where there was no candle left to burn. And I fully take responsibility for doing this all by myself. I got laser focused on things that didn't really matter. I worked countless hours because I was more worried about my job than my health or my sleep. As far as social life, there was no such thing. Getting to burnout was a long road of consistent behaviors I chose. In the moment, that was the hardest pill to swallow. I knew I couldn't keep moving forward like this, so I did what I had to do. To this day, I freaking love Costco and spend more money there than I would like to admit. I don't have anything bad to say about working at Costco. I still know coworkers from my first store that still with the company. I'm not saying everyone needs to retire like I did. I am simply here to share my story. Looking back, I don't regret my choices, but I also know my path won't be for everyone. My best advice I can give you is not to copy what I did, but rather give yourself the time and the space. Listen to what your inner child is telling you, and only you can decide what is best for you. Remember when I said I knew something they didn't? Here it is. I knew that no amount of money or success was worth sacrificing my health and happiness. And I had to take a different path to figure out what truly mattered. This is me on my last day at Costco. Yes, my car is wrapped in shrink wrap, and as an added bonus, some extra baggage. This is one of those unspoken traditions when someone transfers to another store or leaves the company. There are a few motives for whoever wraps your car, and it's almost always a team effort. Of course, if your car is wrapped, then you cannot leave. So perhaps on the slight chance you would just give up and stay. Well, that hasn't happened to my knowledge. It's a nice sentiment. Now, have you ever tried to rip shrink wrap? If you haven't worked at retail, think of plastic food wrap. Same thing, just stronger. Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to rip off. The more you pull it, the more like a rope it becomes. So if you're going to leave, you better be ready to really work hard one last time. I kid you not. This was one of the happiest moments of my life. As a few of my coworkers watched, I ripped and cut away the layers. I felt like a kid on Christmas getting exactly what he wanted, but at the same time, I was just barely learning what that was. This was just the beginning of a whole new journey. And let me tell you, things got interesting from here. Thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.